Come and sit with me by the fire for a bit. I saw somebody say on social media that they were feeling really sad and then their heater kicked on and they went and sat by the vent for a little while and then they realized they weren't sad, they were just cold. And I thought, I wonder if that works, because I feel cold a lot of the time and sad a lot of the time, especially during this time of year, which is strange because I love the autumn and I like snowy winters. I'm not a big fan of the rainy, yucky winters that we typically have here in the South, but I do like the snow. But someone had mentioned something about medication or doing a video on medication. And since I do have more of a low mood during the fall and winter months, a little seasonal affective disorder, I was thinking about doing a video on medication. But to do that, I always feel a little uncomfortable doing any kind of medical type video because I am not in any kind of medical profession, and I don't have any kind of career in medicine at all. So it's just from my experience, and so I'll just tell you kind of some things that I've experienced with different medications. And I was thinking, well, this might be pointless because I have such adverse reactions to things. But then again, maybe other people with the same type of nervous system as me, maybe other people have experienced a lot of these things. My experience has been throughout my life since I was being treated for things like depression, anxiety, and migraines, those kinds of things. I tried a variety of different things, and I'm currently not on anything, which I've kind of been thinking maybe I should be. I just went off Wellbutrin earlier, just not earlier this year, but just like a couple of months ago, and I can tell the difference. And it's like I went with my doctor's guidance, whatever you call it, and permission. I tapered off of Wellbutrin. And the reason for that was my pharmacy switched brands of the generic, and my insurance didn't cover the name brand Wellbutrin. So I was on bupropion by some, I don't know, like Rising something pharma, and it was not doing well for me. And one other time in my life when a pharmacy switched from like one type to another, and there was a visible difference in the actual pill that you take, I also had a reaction. And that time was when I went through my insomnia, and things got really bad during that time. I didn't really have an adverse reaction to Wellbutrin as its actual brand name stuff. It was only the generics, and certain generics that didn't look like Wellbutrin. Like the ones they changed the entire shape and color of the pill were the ones that I had an adverse reaction to. And I have a theory on that, and I'm not a pharmacist, so I don't know if my theory is correct. I think that the secret is in the coating. I think it's something about the coating and how quickly it dissolves to release the medication. So, Wellbutrin extended release, I think they've got that stuff, on point, where it does exactly what it's supposed to do in the time that it's supposed to do it. For me personally, at least. And I think the generic stuff, they may have gotten the formula for the medication right. I don't know. I'm still skeptical about that. But they didn't get the coding. So that screws it up. And so it dumps all of that into your system at 3 p.m., which feels like rage. And I thought to myself, this is really bad, because I'd rather just be having a mid-morning cry in my office, because people are more likely to just see that going on and have some sympathy than to have somebody walk into your office around 3 p.m. and get their head bitten off because your meds just kicked in. But this time I started noticing, as soon as they switched the brand, I started noticing that I was feeling really ragey in the afternoon. I didn't put two and two together at first. At first, I thought I was looking for environmental factors, like what is happening to me around 3 p.m. every day, what's going on, and looking for any kind of work culprit to blame it on, or life occurrence or anything like that. Then blood sugar. I decided maybe it was, it was crashing in the afternoon. So I made sure that I was eating plenty. I do have hypoglycemia, reactive hypoglycemia. So I can rule that out. And it's just like, that's so weird. It happens at about around 3 p.m. every day. And then I thought, this being extended release medication, it was about the time that it started kicking in every day. And so I talked to my doctor, like, this is causing me to have like this feeling of rage. I can't describe it any other way, but I would feel very Hulk-like around 3 p.m. And you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. So it was just a weird thing to be happening at, kind of inconvenient for it to be happening at work. And so I tapered off of that. And the benefits of being on it were I had more energy. I found it easier to focus. And so I generally have like a million browsers open in my mind, and it seemed like that kind of closed a few of the extra browser windows and helped me focus a little better. And I told my doctor about that, and he said that Wellbutrin can be used to treat ADHD, but I haven't been tested for that, so I don't know that I have that as well. All I know is that it helps mild symptoms, which it could have just been, symptoms that I just generally experience that are kind of a crossover there or something. But I would feel more energetic. I just seem to stay on task better. And those were real good benefits. And I think I was able to form coherent sentences a little better when I was on that. And I seemed to be able to just follow a thought to its completion. And now without it, my thoughts are very, very much like the Griswold family Christmas vacation ball of Christmas lights. It's just a tangle. My thoughts are a tangle. They are never in a straight line. They are so like tangled up. And so there's that. And it kind of helped me get out of a depression, but it didn't, destroy my emotions like SSRI didn't make me, I just didn't really feel a lot that I can recall. It's been 20 plus years since I've been on SSRIs. So from what I recall, I didn't feel a whole lot of feeling on the SSRI. And since I've been told that I have alexithymia, maybe that's just, maybe that was part of it, but part of why I felt nothing. But other than a general numbness and kind of detachment, the SSRIs also made me sleep like 12 hours. And when I was awake, I was groggy and brain foggy. It just did not do well for me. And I had no energy on those. But with the Wellbutrin, I felt like I could maybe function as a human normally for most of my day. And but you know, that is like having focus and being able to still feel myself, like not feel like I was just disembodied or something. So that was a good thing about Wellbutrin. And I don't feel like that sense of disembodiment that I felt on the SSRIs in general. That was completely, that was the only time I really felt that way. And so, yeah, they did not work for me whatsoever. And when I was being treated for anxiety, it really didn't do a whole lot for me. It was Buspar, I think, was just kind of to help with some of the more jittery side effects of the Wellbutrin. And the only other times I've been treated for anxiety was around the holidays, because holiday stuff really bothers me. All of it, all of the stuff. It's like, except for the food. And you know, if somebody just delivered me cookies and left, that I would be fine with that. But that's not usually what happens. So, you know, I would get on an anti-anxiety medication to help me through the holidays. And the doctor would just give me a little bit, like just a tiny little, just a few to get me through Thanksgiving and Christmas. So, and, you know, I wouldn't take them every day. It was just, you know, I knew that something was coming up, some sort of holiday gathering. It would, like, I would take one that morning so that I wouldn't be like a nervous wreck all day. And I would have a little bit of energy left over for the thing. But anyway, as far as alexithymia goes, I've read about it, I've asked people about it, and I've watched some videos. And and the thing that, only thing I can honestly say about it is I don't know. All I know is that I don't know. So, and I forget which philosopher that is, because I know it from Operation Ivy, but of course I do. So yeah, I don't know how I feel most of the time. I have no idea. And a lot of times I just don't feel anything until much later. I didn't know what to look for when I was on Wellbutrin to know whether it was, like, before I was on it, to know how that affected me after, because I was on Wellbutrin before I was assessed for autism and was told that I had alexithymia. I only stopped just a few months ago. So throughout almost this whole journey, I've been on it. But, finding out that autism was at the root of the things that I'd been feeling, with the sensory overload happening and the burnout, my doctor and I also thought, well, it probably wasn't just depression. So if you're not feeling depressed right now, there's no reason to be on Wellbutrin. And then the fall rolls around and I nearly always just start feeling lower energy in the fall. And not that that's a reason to take an antidepressant or anything, but it makes me start thinking, it usually starts this way. And I think back to different times when I felt depressed, and I'm like, was it always during a winter? And it wasn't. So I think I'm okay. It's just I'm really low energy right now. But other medications that I've had adverse reactions to, my migraine medication, I started having adverse reactions to that as well. I was on the generic for Imitrex, and it's I can't remember what what it's called, but when I would take one for a migraine, it would go away in about 30 minutes. And I don't have anything to warn me typically if anything's going on. I don't normally have, I have light sensitivity like all the time. So it does get worse when I am starting to get a migraine, but usually by then it's like by the time I notice that, it's starting. So it's not like I see the aura all the time. I have, but I don't always. So it's unpredictable. And so I started taking this medication last year, and then I noticed that I was having to take it more frequently, and then it kind of built up where I was just having more and more migraines. It wasn't something you had to take every day. You just would only take it when you had a migraine. When I'd take it, and then just a couple hours later, the migraine would come back and I'd have to take another one. And then one week, I had migraines for 4 days in a row, and I was just so done. I was totally done. And it was like the worst migraine of my life too, that just on and off for 4 days. And I'm pretty sure it was cluster headaches, like a cluster headache. And so I read about the side effects, and it said that if you take it too frequently, that it can cause cluster headaches. And I wasn't taking it any more frequently than it said recommended on the label and paperwork and everything. I typically read those things because I do have adverse reactions. And so it just, went back to my doctor, and he told me, about taking magnesium, that can help migraines. And so I got some of that, and I just went back to my old faithful remedy for migraines, which is complete sensory deprivation if it's possible. And this is weird, but it works for me. And I don't know why, a confirmation bias or something, I have no idea. A Snickers candy bar and a Coca-Cola and ibuprofen. That combo. Now, just regular size of each. You don't need to go overboard. And I don't know why, but that will make it go away when all else fails. I don't understand how any of it works. But also, I notice sometimes when I have migraines that the inside of my sinuses and mouth feel really cold, like I could breathe ice. And I don't know what's up with that. But I wondered if it had something to do with the Raynaud's, that circulatory thing that I have. But yeah, that's the other medication thing issue that I have. And I generally just do not like going to the doctor whatsoever. And so for me to go twice in 1 year because medications were giving me a hassle, that was kind of a big deal for me. I avoid it whenever I can. That's pretty much all I've got for now. I am currently, yeah, unmedicated completely. And as far as other remedies go, I have adverse reactions to other things as well. I'm trying to think. Oh, yeah, I'm kind of afraid of having, some sort of accident or something and being taken to the hospital and them giving me some sort of medication while I'm not conscious to tell them to knock it the F off. And I actually thought about having a tattoo, that especially the types that we have, kind of an abuse epidemic happening and addiction issues occurring. And I thought about just having like a no fill in the blank tattoo right there where they would insert an IV. But I thought that might be a little extreme. But I really, really, really don't want to be given any medications in that family, because the only time I had to be given any, I projectile vomited all the way from the hospital to the ENT. So yeah, I don't ever want any of that ever again. So they can they can keep it. I think that probably covers it and more. So that hopefully that answered some questions.